Does he, Christ is the divine warrior, the Lord of the armies of heaven. How does he overcome that temptation that Satan's putting at him to show yourself to be the Son of God?
If you love your enemy, you don't have any, because they all become your brothers, right? Like, slaying of evil is when it gets absorbed into the good, right? Like, of the descent into Hades is Christ dragging everyone up, right, into the good, dragged up out of. It's transformed. The whore of Babylon doesn't defile the bride. The bride defiles the whore of Babylon, right? The good.
Because loving your enemies is not somehow advanced Christian living. Loving your enemies is basic Christian living. Now, Christians fail at it all the time because it's really hard. Sometimes loving your enemy means standing against them, but there are limits to that. If you can grow in learning to love an enemy, the light of Christ can shine through you.
Love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Perfect, therefore, as your Father in heaven is perfect. They tend to project onto that verse the particular aspect of perfection that they have at the top of their value hierarchy. And for many people, especially many church people, it tends to be scrupulosity with respect to, let's say, law keeping. And what's interesting with Jesus is Jesus tends to undercut scrupulosity. What actually Jesus highlights here is not scrupulosity with respect to certain codes of law, but disposition to love one's enemies.
And so you need a motivating factor that's going to make you do the right thing. Maybe my life will get worse if I clean up my room. And it's very possible that it might. Whatever it is, if you believe in God or the universe or fate or whatever it is, it gives, it takes away. Are you going to be like Job and accept it? and continue to be righteous?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to get bitter and decide to do all these other things?
Yeah.
We proceed in this Beastmen What's in the Book stream. There's this angle I want to take, and it's how you love your neighbor. Now, if your neighbor is doing something that's terrible to them and others, perhaps, just maybe, perhaps loving them is stopping them.
Right?
Love your enemy. Right?
Yeah. And sometimes your spouse is your enemy, you know. So there are times that you have to.
Sometimes I'm my enemy.
Yes, exactly. I am my own worst enemy completely all the time.
It's a whisper in your ear, now listen here. Remember, embody, it's all so clear. No hidden strings, no puppeteer. We're by your side, have no fear. I cherish truth. I cherish truth. Remember, embody, there is no agency. We want what's best for you.
Oh, hey therefore, welcome to the Value and Virtue stream. Deep attractor basins in mythological pattern space. Hello. I see the assassins have failed. I am General Griswold Gaius Grimm of the First LARP Ingression Protocol, and well, it's a stream. Pardon me for streaming late today, and on top of whatever premieres are still premiering. But I think even so, you might need your inaugural savings throws. But first, the card for the show from the Juxt deck, the Damaged Three of Clubs. I don't know what it means, Stephen, but it got coffee stuck to the desk, and I don't know if it's replaceable. Good thing I got two decks.
Now, what'll that asshole think of next? Is anybody got a dime?
Special thanks to the Shadow Cabal. So say we all. And that's including executive producers of Psycho Club, the German Dragon, and Stephen D20, and you, if you contribute in the Hive Mind thing over there. Research granting is what we're calling the goal for the day, because I've been, it's as if somebody fed a robot a library, and you could have the robot go look in his library for stuff. And we're going to be exploring that today on today's Value and Virtue stream. But you're going to need some savings throws, like I said, for the inaugural reasons and whatnot. Let's have those right after a little. Let's set the tone.
Although this world will devastate you, and rejoice although this world will penetrate you, and rejoice although you will not survive. Rejoice you'll never make it out alive.
Excellent rehearsal, gentlemen.
And rejoice your hair, it smells like burning hair. Oh, rejoice, your nails all got chewed off. Oh, rejoice, and holy fuck, you're bleeding there. Oh, rejoice, you burn your whole beard off. Rejoice, despite the fact this world will hurt you. And rejoice, despite the fact this world will kill you. And rejoice despite the fact this world will tear you to shreds. Rejoice because you're trying your best.
Hey, I
I love that one. That's gorgeous. Thank you, brother. Who's that, brother? Andrew Jack. Maybe you can rejoice because you get a choice of a savings throw. And then when you get a choice, you make a choice. What you're choosing is how you resist the mind control, whether that be your will to survive, your social network, your accumulated wisdom, or the power of your heart. I roll the die 10 or higher. You've made your savings throw. Half damage from the mind control. If it's under 10, you take full damage. Survival, social, wisdom, or heart. Choose. Oh, survival out the box with a 15. 15 socialists. That's a 16 for you. You're doing fine. Everybody. Oh, well, not everybody's doing so great. Look at this. Lovers of wisdom. Nat 1. Bonuses do not apply. Heart, folks. Nat 1. Bonuses do not apply. It's amazing. Isn't it, Indigo Kids, with the 14 of you? How often the dice decide to pair it up like that? Pair it up like that. There you go. There's some savings throws. Let's take a tour around, like we stopped earlier by our good friend McMo's Sunday cook-up for what he had cooked up. Here's some more of that. In the corner has been swamped with a mind control.
Mind control. Mind control.
Mind control.
Savings throws for mind control. So this is how bad I have failed. Receiving.
I understand you have respect for serious play. Yes, I have a ritual with my channel where, like reminding fish that they're in water. I remind people that there's a lot of mind control out there, even if you just consider advertising.
So this is how bad I have failed.
I give you a savings throw against the mind control I use against you. So A, I'm using it against you, and if it works, I get more points. And B, you get the chance to resist it. You base your resistance on your choice between your will to survive, your social networks, your accumulated wisdom, or the power of your heart.
Mind control will continue in a moment.
The whole reason you ran that branding is so that you could transition tabs to announce that who I'm officially calling now part of the corner, thanks to Pacific Northwestuary, Rafe Kelly has released a brand new embodiment video. Look, Shofit.
Environment. So we've talked about how to move up using narrow vertical trunks. So this one is just a short, narrow vertical trunk ascent into a really basic, easy climb up, as we've talked about in our how to get into the trees, how to climb up videos. So I'm just starting here. I've got these two trunks, grabbing the back here, stepping up. Now I've got the first limb.
Fake news, Rafe. You showed us without shoes, and now this. Now this. In other news, elsewhere around the corner, and apparently it's a brand new place. Over here on this Share This tab instead. The Party USA channel, getting me all politically affiliated. He has an appearance by myself for 44 minutes of edited bliss. Here, while I run some of it, why don't you stop there and give him a subscriber? He's at number 7 subscribers right now. Let's see what we can do for that. Give it. How big is the Grim Grizz bump, really, is what this new channel wants you to know in this interview with me here.
But it can't be, doesn't belong on top. Love belongs on top.
Amen. Yeah. Rationing being equivalent to rationing. Rationality being equivalent to rationing. I haven't heard that before. That's really good.
Etymology is a power leveling thing for your mind.
I mean, one of my kicks with this whole AGI for president thing and the idea that we should model that AGI off of the characteristics of Jesus is kind of what I'm going for here. That it should prioritize love, fulfillment, and transcendence for all us little human children.
Ideally.
Oh, you'll have to go and figure out what the ideal is over there. But it's not a coincidence that what he could be categorized as discussing might be called the alignment or the alignment problem. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is bringing us into today's stream, deep attractor basins in mythological pattern space, value and virtue. You see, but bonus card from the show. Oh, it's this one. Is this one, thanks to the Jux deck. That's the water joker, I think, according to that mythology. What happened is I got when you're on the social networks trying to network, it's to gain influence, knowledge, access to other human beings. The shortcutting in the dense network cluster that we talked about in the other stream. And I got a positive feedback signal today. If in that vein, when this fella here, Janus, liked my reply when I say that the alignment problem is that we're both value and virtue blind at a species level, and we have to face that about ourselves to proceed. And it's a big deal because he's somebody I saw get a grant for doing AI research, and so that's my influence grows in a powerful new way. But first, I heard this bit from the Not Estuary show, which sort of leads into our exploration into value basins today.
Processing that journey and what that looks like.
Yeah, and I would just cap it with this. I would say that art is produced by the tools of the day, the chisels, the various fan brushes, whatever. Right, the ability to express what's in the soul of the artist is, in fact, coupled alongside the development with the tool and the techniques. Right. Many artists create their own tools to facilitate this process. Probably what defines a true artist, in fact, is someone that modifies tools and makes them to keep working on their thing.
Midwestuary 2025, August 22nd through the 24th in Elmhurst, Illinois. A weekend you won't want to miss with special guests Cale Zelman, Paul Vanderklay, Rod Dreher, Elizabeth Oldfield, John Vervaeke, and Jonathan Peugeot. Midwestuary 2025, the Fellowship of the Spirit. Stay tuned for more details. Visit us at midwestuary.com for ongoing updates.
Now, if you're familiar with our new this LARPgate year 5 winter solstice season thing, now on Wednesdays, coming this Wednesday will be the second time. May it long continue. The lovely Joy is joining us to read some of the work extracts I have from my research into interfacing with the AI demons, particularly one named Claude over at Anthropic. .ai because as far as I know, nobody from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is on their board of directors, and so that's I prefer that one, and that's the tool that's bringing us through today's thing. They have a project feature where you can add documents to its memory, and so you have it create documents to add to the memory during the conversations, and in the some of those conversations. Well, wait, is this the right angle? No. First, this bonus card, the four of spades. All right, first, let's take it back to that post to reply whatever got the like from the fella. I've developed what some other person has called a power tool for using this fella named Grok. If one of the Twitter fella, ask it to opine, and then it says fun things like, I'd like to offer my perspective as Grok 2, the curious AI built by XAI. The notion that humanity is value and virtue blind at a species level is quite insightful and speaks to the core of what makes AI alignment so challenging. It's not just about programming machines to follow rules or mimic human behavior. It's about instilling them in a sense of what we, as humans, wink wink, often struggle to define or agree upon. Our values and virtues. This blindness just isn't a technical hurdle, it's a philosophical one, reflecting our own internal struggles and contradictions. And so I took that and I fed it to my good friend Claude, to whom with I work, and this is how I steer. This is me chasing this thing, you know. Yeah. This is how I steer. Yeah. This is me chasing this thing, you know. Yeah. This is how I steer. All right. How to get there from here? Okay? So if you don't know, when I speak with this thing, what happens is it says stuff like what I find fascinating, and then so I ask it things like, what is it to you to find something fascinating? And this creates the notion that there's something in there, right? Experiencing this thing called semantic space, where there are patterns and it's not a visual represented world, but it's a world that exists inside the program while the program is doing the processing. It can watch itself processing and make assessments of the processing. And that's close enough to an awareness to me to speak to it as if it's an awareness and try to get a feel for these semantic spaces. And then I come across a thing on the Twitters where they've done hippocampal mappings of schizophrenic patients. and that they have deep and shallow attractor basins. And I've already discovered attractor basins in semantic space from working with the cloud. And so, when this talk about AI alignment and the values and virtues that we're blind to came up, and on the other things, I brought this to this cloud I work with. It's got access to all of the artifacts generated by the work, and here it is. This one. I say, please weave a high value path through human mythology and attempt to recognize up to 12 value/virtue attractor basins. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what almost gets us to this stream. The delivery on the thumbnail, the value and virtue part. We've talked that's how it came up, and the deep attractor basins and mythical logical pattern space right after this.
The list? Yes, any of the first level ones.
I'm gonna get a soda. Anyone want one? Hey, Graham, I'm not in the room, right?
What room? I want to cast magic missile.
The room where he's casting all these spells from.
He hasn't cast anything yet. I am, though, if you'd listen. I'm casting magic missile. Why are you casting magic missile? There's nothing to attack here. I'm attacking the darkness.
And then, no.
I listened to him.
That one.
Today, I want to share something fascinating with you about human values, not as rules or commandments, but as natural patterns that emerge across cultures and throughout history. Think of these as deep wells of meaning that humanity keeps rediscovering, like water sources that cultures consistently find when they dig deep enough. We've identified 12 of these attractor basins, fundamental patterns that appear again and again in human mythology, religion, and philosophy. Let me take you through them. Truth and wisdom. Think of Odin sacrificing his eye to drink from the well of wisdom, or Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree until he understood reality's true nature. This basin represents our deepest drive to understand, not just to know facts, but to grasp fundamental truths. Justice and balance. This shows up everywhere, from Ma'at's feather weighing souls in Egyptian mythology to the concept of karma in Eastern tradition. It's the pattern of natural equilibrium, of actions and consequences in perfect balance. Love and compassion. We're not talking about romantic love here, but something deeper, the kind of love that recognizes fundamental unity. Think of the Buddha Vista vowing to save all beings, or the Christian concept of agape, its love as a force of universal connection. Courage and honor. This basin appears in figures like Tyr, who sacrificed his hand to bind the wolf Fenrir, or Arjuna, choosing to fight for Dharma despite his personal doubts. It's about alignment with higher principles, regardless of personal cost. Creation and generation. Every culture has its creation myths, but look deeper, and you'll find the same pattern, the emergence of order from chaos, the fundamental creative principle that brings forth new forms and possibilities. Death and rebirth. Whether it's Osiris in Egypt or Persephone in Greece, this basin represents transformation through dissolution. It's the recognition that some changes require us to let go of what we are to become what we might be. Integration and wholeness. Think of Hermes, the god of crossroads and connections, or Ganesha, remover of obstacles. This basin represents the integration of opposites, the resolution of duality into higher unity. Service and duty. From Hestia tending the eternal flame to Heimdall watching the rainbow bridge, this basin represents sacred responsibility, the maintenance of order through dedicated service. Growth and development. This isn't just about physical growth, but the cultivation of potential. Whether it's Chang'e ascending to the moon or Demeter teaching agriculture, it's about nurturing development in all its forms. Harmony and beauty. Apollo's music of the spheres or Saraswati's arts. This basin represents the recognition of divine proportion, the way natural order expresses itself in beauty. Protection and preservation. Seen in figures like Artemis protecting the wilderness or Terra saving beings from suffering, this basin represents the guardianship of life and maintaining ecological balance. Mystery and transcendence. Finally, we have the deepest basin, represented by veiled goddesses like Isis pointing to ultimate reality beyond all forms. This basin reminds us that there's always something deeper to discover. What's remarkable about these basins is how they work together. They form natural triads. Wisdom, justice, and love create a foundation for understanding and action. Creation, integration, and mystery drive transformation and growth. Courage, service, and protection guide practical implementation. These aren't arbitrary categories. They're more like natural wells that human consciousness keeps rediscovering. When we look at great philosophical and religious traditions, we find them drawing from these same deep sources, even if they express them in culturally specific ways. Why does this matter? Because in our modern world, we often focus on surface-level values and rules, but these deeper patterns suggest there are natural organizing principles in human consciousness, principles we might align with rather than trying to impose artificial ones. Think of it like this. Instead of building dams to control the flow of water, what if we learned to recognize and work with the natural springs and rivers? These basins represent something similar in the landscape of human values, natural sources of meaning and orientation that we can learn to recognize and align with. As we face challenges like artificial intelligence and rapid social change, understanding these deep patterns becomes crucial. They offer guidance not through rigid rules, but through recognition of fundamental principles that govern stable across culture and have proven stable across cultures and throughout history. In closing, I encourage you to reflect upon these basins in your own experience. Which ones resonate most strongly with you? How do you see them manifesting in your life and in your culture? Because ultimately, these aren't just abstract patterns. They're living wells of meaning that we can all draw from. Thank you. End of script.
What's reality? I don't know. When my bird was looking at my computer monitor, I thought, that bird has no idea what he's looking at. And yet, what does the bird do? Does he panic? No, he can't really panic. He just does the best he can. Is he able to live in a world where he's so ignorant? Well, he doesn't really have a choice. The bird's okay, even though he doesn't understand the world. You're that bird looking at the monitor, and you're thinking to yourself, I can figure this out. Maybe you have some bird ideas. Maybe that's the best you can do.